Welcome to Startup Hack. Today we're going to talk about how Microsoft is making a native ARM version of Visual Studio 2022 and a mini PC, and why we care about this as entrepreneurs and small business owners. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Startup Hack. My name is Spencer Tomlinson. I am the CEO and co-founder of CleanRouter, as well as many other products. Here are some lessons that I've learned building a successful business while challenging startup norms. My challenge is to push you to rethink startup success. Welcome to Startup Hack. All right, let's go ahead and dig in. Let's chat about this a little bit today. So it's an interesting change that we see going with Microsoft making this move to now start supporting ARM products. And this is going to be an interesting piece for small business owners. And I'll tell a little bit about why. So Microsoft is working on a native Arm64 version of Visual Studio 2022 and a miniature ARM PC. A preview version of an ARM native version of Visual Studio 2022 will be available in the next few weeks and is expected to ship fully later this year alongside Arm64 .NET support. While ARM devices like the Surface Pro have been able to run Visual Studio through x64 emulation, some features haven't been supported and performance has suffered too. Developers will certainly be intrigued to hear more about a native ARM support for Visual Studio 2022 and VS Code, and Microsoft is creating what it's described as an ARM native toolchain. So full Visual Studio 2022 and VS Code, Visual C++, modern .NET 6 and Java, classic .NET Framework, Windows Terminal, WSL and WSA for running Linux apps, Linux and Android apps. So alongside this ARM native push, Microsoft has once again partnered with Qualcomm to create an ARM-powered developer device. Project Volterra uses a Snapdragon processor and a neural processing unit to allow developers to build cloud-native AI apps. This device looks like a Mac Mini PC, and it's a stackable design so developers can stack multiple Project Volterra PCs on their desk or inside a server rack. Microsoft isn't revealing the exact specs just yet, but Project Volterra does have 3 USB ports at the rear along the display port and Ethernet ports. There are also two USB-C ports on the side of the device, and the device is manufactured from recycled ocean plastic. Now, why entrepreneurs care about this and why this is ultimately going to end up being a big deal is because we're going to see so I've long time, and I'm going to start talking a little bit more about how I've built businesses on using .NET. And I've always been a big fan of .NET. When Eric and I first started the company in 2009, we started to build on top of .NET. We knew from the get-go that .NET was the easiest and fastest way to build out a set of infrastructure. And recently, in the last 5 years or so, .NET Core now is open source and running on Linux, and that has made .NET extremely available and very inexpensive to run for small business owners. So you can start up even the most small servers and run .NET Core on it, and in minutes you can have an API up, you can have a website up, you can run full web apps, you can build the entire server stack. So this is really exciting. This next step is going to be really interesting as Microsoft goes into the ARM processors, because this is going to allow Microsoft, allow people to start running things on other products, things like, to say you can build a Raspberry Pi. And that's going to allow people to then take these small software computers and then something like this that you can build with a touch screen and very simple to build out a system that you can see for $30. You can add a touch screen on top of a Raspberry Pi. And you take that plus $100 for a modern Raspberry Pi 4, and suddenly now you have these very small devices that are inexpensive to run. There's a huge competition in that space, and if you can run a Debian version of Linux plus .NET Core and put it onto a Raspberry Pi, and then now include .NET Core on top of it, this makes so that with less than $100 you can build a full server and run it out of your home. It's very simple to run different applications. Internet of Things, IoT devices now can be built with .NET Core. This is going to unlock a whole huge potential of developers that are good at using .NET Core and building applications to now take these and in a very real way start to run a whole new set of hardware that's run out there. It also, with ARM moving forward in these with all these devices out there that ARM can run on, there's a whole competition of other things besides Raspberry Pi. So, for instance, I'm looking here at this Rock Pi. There's a lot of these things, and as we can get into .NET Core running natively on these ARM processors, this is going to be a huge win for small business owners. The ability to build onto a small device like this makes it so you can spend a fraction to run prototypes on something that's already off the shelf in a piece of hardware, instead of spending tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to build out hardware. So this will make it so that a small business owner could build, for $1,000, could build 10 prototypes and start to run it with .NET Core, which is something you can build on easy and quick, hire inexpensive labor for. It's something that's going to really accelerate a lot of small businesses, I think. I know in the beginning this is something that we really looked at when we started to build Clean Router, and so it's a huge advantage that's really going to run for all small business owners. So I'm really excited by this change. I think this is going to really unlock, and I think this is a really wise move by Microsoft, because I think this is going to really step up the entrepreneurs to really have to think twice about what stack they're building on. Whereas in the past, a lot of other stacks have looked more enticing. Now, if you can buy a Raspberry Pi, and you can even run an older version, I believe even the Raspberry Pi 3 will run Windows on it. You can take a Raspberry Pi 3, which you can get for relatively inexpensive, $30 or $40, and build out an entire development machine for $30 or $40, or just even to be able to run the native kernel against. And suddenly now you don't have to have anything, hardly any kind of amount of hardware in order to be able to run. A lot of products could be built right off of existing things. Even something like the Raspberry Pi Zero, which the Raspberry Pi Zeros, run for $5 to $10. These are a very inexpensive thing, a piece of hardware that then you'd be able to run even a stack of these to be able to get into a lot of different of pieces. And so there's a lot of options that really start to scale when you think of this $5 piece of hardware now being able to run .NET Core on it, and being able to embed whatever you want into this and run Debian Linux on it, and run full Debian Linux. And with all of these ports for $5, now suddenly you have something that can run full stacks of software on it, on modern things. So I think this is a really smart move for Microsoft. I think this is going to really unlock a lot of potential for a lot of small business owners who want to be able to build prototypes. Imagine if you could prototype this. This is a full computer. And before now, you'd have to use Python, you'd have to use C++, or anything that you could build onto Debian. But now with .NET Core running there, a lot of enterprise type applications and a lot of enterprise developers can begin to build onto this. So I really think this is going to launch a whole new set of tinkering for entrepreneurs who want to be able to, who already know .NET, to be able to build on the side and to be able to build out the applications that they've been noodling on for a long time. So I think this is going to be a big move as we see Microsoft move forward. Make sure that you grab your Clean Router and Clean Phone. Clean Router is the ultimate parental controls. It allows you to control the internet for your kids at home so you can keep them safe while they're at home. And then the Clean Phone allows you to manage and monitor, manage which apps they have, watch their phones so you can see the SMS and call logs. You can schedule what time they can use the apps. You can set what type of screen types and also look at call out and SMS logs. So lots of great features. Make sure you get your kids set up on the Clean Phone today. We're actually just about to launch, and we're going to be announcing soon that you'll be able to take any of your Android 10 or 11 devices and be able to self-load Clean Phone software onto it. And so this is going to be a big move and one that we're really excited for. If you have any questions on that, leave those comments down in the comments below, and make sure you like and subscribe, and we will catch you next time.